because you're growing up in a slightly different circumstance. Like, again, I'm the Gen X dude, and I remember one of my earliest memories is sitting in front of a black and white TV and waiting for one of the Apollo landers to take off again so the crew can go in orbit.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there as a kid. I was kind of like Eric Cartman from South Park. I was kind of fat and I couldn't shut the hell up. And I was really impatient because they had the camera set up on the surface of the moon. And it was a live broadcast about, the top blasting off to go back into orbit to bring the astronauts back. And I'm like, come on already.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then finally it went, and then it popped like a cork from a champagne bottle. It was like,
yeah.
Woo! And I remember sitting there on my fat ass. It's like, I must have been like, how old? Like 6 years old. I was like, that was it?
Right.
And frankly, that's how the American public felt about the Apollo missions after a while. So there was no bigger news than when Armstrong first set foot on the moon, July of 1969.
Yeah, but then ratings dipped for Apollo 12.
Immediately. And then it came back up for ill-fated Apollo 13. And the biggest news was that they couldn't make it, not that they made it.
Yeah.
And each launch cost a lot of money, and it was an entire infrastructure. And after we beat the Soviets to get on the moon, the funding started to dry because the real reason we went wasn't for the sake of science and the sake of humanity and exploration to boldly go.
Just to prove our missiles to blow you up before yours do.
Yeah, we have the technology to get on the moon. We can therefore kill you. So that's why we did this. It was pure competition with another perceived superpower and enemy.
But I think it kind of poetically turns into something historically beautiful, where it's like a race to see who could blow up the other first results in the exploration of a new world. Ultimately, together, by the time you get to the Apollo-Soyuz and the International Space Station.
Right, and that was a great expression of détente. The Soyuz, we actually rendezvoused with Russians in orbit, and that was a sign of reconciliation or at least peace. That was a big deal too.
Yeah.
But interest waned. And if you ask almost anyone, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but how many dudes actually walked on the moon as a part of trivia?
Well, it was Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Pete Conrad, Alan Bean, Alan Shepard, Edgar Mitchell, David Scott. I'm blanking on the
touche. I couldn't have named more
John
than
Young,
like
Charlie
3 or
Duke,
4.
Gene Cernan, and Harrison Schmitt.
Awesome, good for you. But I would say most folks have no idea that only a dozen actually walked on the moon.
Yeah, well, people focus so much on like just the first one as the moon landing. It's like, no, there were moon landings.
Right. And they did amazing stuff by Apollo 6 and Apollo 17 with the rover.
Yeah.
They took like a 4-hour trip in the rover. They went miles away from the module.
Yeah, I read a book about the rover, called Across the Airless Wilds, and it just delves into the engineering of it and how incredible it was to have had that. Like, you cover a distance, because for 11, 12, and 14, they just walked around, but they pretty much covered a distance the size of Manhattan on 15, 16, 17.
Unbelievable. And the cojones it took. Think about that. The thing rolls over, the thing breaks down, and you're miles away.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got limited oxygen, limited capabilities. It's Andy Weir Martian, only in 1971.
Yeah. What they would do is they'd first drive as far as they could, knowing they could walk back.
Right.
And then they'd start collecting rocks as they headed back.
Right. Just amazing stuff. And imagine the experience, the lived experience. You look up and the Earth is something like 40 times brighter than the full moon. So when you see it in the sky, it's this enormous blue orb, and the light is like the sunlight on Earth at dawn or dusk. It's incredible.
Stars, you can't see the stars with the camera, but when you're there, it's like, like how the stars look when you're in a desert or in the ocean on Earth, where it's just clear.
No atmosphere. There's
Yeah.
no atmosphere. You see the entire galaxy and in all of its beauty,